Do you ever feel like you're meant to do something more than what you're doing right now, or even just something different? It could be your job, your relationships, your hobbies, or any number of other things in your life. But if you feel this way, there's probably things that are based on an outdated idea of who you are. We all change over time. Who you are today is different than who you were a year ago, let alone a decade or more ago, even if you don't realize it. Could be as simple as being interested in new things or maybe losing interest in stuff that you used to love doing. Or it could be bigger things in your life, like your job or a relationship, maybe. If your identity today is based on who you were then, even partly, it's not surprising you feel like you're not living the life that you're meant to live. I've been thinking about this a lot over the last couple of years. I turned 55 a couple of months ago. Now, whether that sounds old or young to you likely depends on how old you are. But however you look at it, I've probably got more time behind me than I have ahead of me at this point. In fact, I have a couple of countdown widgets on the home screen of my iPhone that help me to keep this in perspective. One counts the number of days that I've been alive so far, and the other one counts the number of days I have left, assuming I live to 100 years old. And yes, I choose to be optimistic. As I record this, I've been alive for 20,149 days, and I've got 16,376 to go. When I was younger, I had a plan for my life. I was going to start a business, make enough money to retire, and I was going to be retired before I hit 50. I didn't really think about what I would do for the second half of my life if I wasn't working, but the idea of being totally free to travel or do anything I wanted to do was pretty motivating. Now, needless to say, that didn't happen. I'm still working, and when I hit 50, I kind of felt like I'd failed somehow. But I gradually realized that I hadn't failed at all. I just wasn't the same person that had made those plans, 20-something years old. That version of me had no idea what was coming over the next 30 years, and I am who I am now because of all those experiences. But most of those experiences happened in spite of me, really. Not because I was intentional about them. Which brings me to where I am today, and the reason I started this YouTube channel, really. I'm working on reinventing my life based on what I want now, not what I wanted when I was 20 or 30 or even 50. Now, how about you? Are you somewhere in your 40s or 50s and feeling like you're on a path that you never set out to be on? Or maybe you're older than that and still feeling that way. It's not too late to reinvent yourself and start living the life you want. Even if it's a major change like changing careers or selling everything you own and moving halfway around the world somewhere, it's not too late. It really isn't. Now, when you make meaningful changes in your 40s or 50s, some people might tell you you're having a midlife crisis. I don't think wanting to grow and get your life aligned with what you really want to do is a crisis, though. I'd say sticking with a life that doesn't really make you happy, or worse, makes you miserable, that's the crisis. It's natural to grow and change the way you look at things as you get older. You have more experience and you've probably been exposed to a lot of different perspectives that help you change how you look at things. There's no rule that says you can't change your opinions and your preferences. If you've watched this far, it's probably safe to say that you're feeling a pull to change something in your life too. Maybe a lot of somethings. There's 2 key steps you need to take to make that change happen. Number 1 is you need to shift how you think about yourself. A few years ago, I read a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a pretty well-known book, so there's a pretty good chance that you've probably already heard of it and maybe even read it. But in case it is new to you, I'll leave a link to it in the description down below for this video. One of the key takeaways I got from that book is that if you want to succeed at something, you have to make it part of your identity. Setting goals and having a vision are great, but they'll only get you so far if you don't see yourself as someone who's going to accomplish those things. Let's say you want to lose weight and get into better shape. If you don't see yourself as a healthy person who eats well and gets regular exercise, you're always going to be fighting an uphill battle to make those things happen. Now, I can speak from experience on this one. I was an overweight, nerdy kid back when being nerdy was a lot less cool than it is today, and that identity stuck with me for decades. Every time I'd try to lose weight or get into some kind of exercise routine, I would lose momentum really quickly. It wasn't until I started to actually see myself as someone who eats healthy and goes to the gym regularly that I was able to stick with it. Now, this isn't some kind of magical visualization trick that's going to make you hit all your goals overnight. It takes work, and you'll need to focus on changing your thinking over time. But the more you focus on changing your identity, the easier it gets to do those things that you need to do in order for that change to happen. That helps you see it as more of a part of your identity, and so on. It's like a snowball effect. You'll build momentum over time, and it eventually gets harder not to do those things because it's just part of who you are. Now, the flip side of changing how you think about yourself brings us to the second step, which is to let go of old versions of you. Changing how you think about yourself isn't going to work. It won't stick unless you also let go of the older versions that either don't exist anymore or are somehow holding you back from the change you want to make. Do you ever find yourself saying something like, I've always been bad at whatever it might be? Those are the kind of things that you just have to let go of. Just because you've always been bad at something up to this point doesn't mean you always have to continue being bad at it. Public speaking is a good example of this for me. When I was a kid, I was scared to death of standing up in front of the class to talk at school. I can remember missing school because I was so worried that it just made me physically sick if I was going to do a speech or something. And that fear stuck with me for a long time, up until really about 10 years ago. I was asked to train a group of new employees at my job, and I took the leap, partly because I wanted to do something that was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it was mostly because I didn't really connect that training people meant that I was going to have to stand up in front of the group and speak. My boss at that time sat in on one of the training sessions I did, and afterwards she told me she was impressed by how comfortable I seemed with speaking in public. That made me feel a little bit more like someone who was comfortable with public speaking and a little less like the scared kid that was always lurking in the back of my mind. So over the next couple of years, I did a lot more training. I took various other chances I had to speak in front of groups. And I gradually thought more and more of myself as someone who's comfortable with speaking in public. When you start to change how you think about yourself or see yourself about these things, it's not going to happen all at once. You'll still feel nervous or out of place at first. It'll still feel foreign. But the more you do it, the more it just becomes part of who you are, especially if other people start to see you that way too. Shifting how you think about yourself and letting go of old versions of you are two sides of the same coin. But you need to do both if you really want to reinvent yourself and have it stick. And while they're the two key steps, there are a couple of other things that can really help with the process. One is to start journaling or some other way of recording your thoughts and things you're working on. If you already have a journaling habit, I probably don't need to try and convince you of how valuable it is. But if you've never done it, I really recommend trying it. It's a great way to work through how you're thinking about things, but I also think of it as kind of a way of writing to my future self. You can talk about the things that are frustrating you right now, the things that you want to accomplish, and anything else that comes to mind, really. It's purely for you, so you can be as honest and open as you want, and it doesn't matter if your writing is good by anyone's standards. There's something about the act of writing that helps to clarify your thoughts. At least it does for me. Or typing if you'd rather use an app. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But here's where I think the real value is. Going back and reviewing your journals in the future. You'll see how far you've actually come and how you've changed over the years, even if it was so gradual that you didn't really notice it as it was happening. I've been journaling for nearly 15 years now, I guess, sometimes more often than others, sometimes long stretches between. But I can go back a long way and see what I was thinking and feeling at the time, things that I was working on, whatever it is. It's amazing how many things I said I wanted to do back then that actually happened, even if I didn't really make a conscious decision that got me there. And honestly, part of what set me down this path of reinvention that I'm on right now is seeing some of the things that I've been saying I want for, in some cases, over a decade, but I've just never made the time or the effort to actually make them happen. You can do this with a pen and paper, a notes app, a word processor, or really anything that lets you put words together. You could even record voice memos or videos of yourself talking to your phone or to a camera if that feels more natural for you. The process is more important than the tool you use to actually do it. Now, having said that, I recommend an app called Day One if you're looking for a good solution. My favorite feature of the app is something they call On This Day that shows you all your entries from today's date in past years. I look at this almost every day to see what was on my mind at the time, and it's super interesting to see what I've accomplished and how much has changed over the years. Now, the other trick that has really helped me with this reinvention process is to treat life as more of a game. When I say you treat life as a game, I don't mean you shouldn't take it seriously. What I mean is to approach it as a game that you're playing. Think of the choices and the decisions that you make as moves in the game. Every move is going to get you somewhere. The trick, though, is to figure out what moves work best. Think about the potential outcomes of any given move and choose the one that seems like it has the most potential for you. You can't really lose this game. You're only going to make better moves or worse moves. But when you think of those choices as part of your strategy in a game, they don't seem as intimidating as assigning all this weight that they might have in your life otherwise. Now, if you're feeling adrift or like you want to make some changes in your life, there's no better time to start than right now. Don't wait until January 1st or some other arbitrary date. Start reinventing yourself now. Even small changes will help you move closer to where you want to be. And don't fall into the trap of thinking you're too old to start over or that you don't have enough time to make a change. You're never too old, and you can always find time if you choose to. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. Well, I suppose that's not really entirely true. It will be too late when you're on your deathbed, so don't wait until then. Thank you for watching. And yes, I do mean you. If you watched this far, I want you to know how much I appreciate your time. Even if you're the only person that ever watches this video, I'll be happy if you got something of value from it. If so, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you're new here, my name's John. I'm working on reinventing the parts of my life that don't feel very aligned for me anymore, and I'm sharing what I learn along the way. I'll see you in the next one.